Ja, was zo mooi van. Met groep namen. Ja. Ik denk de kleuren zijn wel leuk. Maar ik heb het...
Hello, my name is Sarah. Welcome to the It is a Sarah podcast. Today it is Monday, May 18, 2026, and in this episode I want to share my handwerk perikelen. That's a Dutch word for my creative adventures from this week with you. I'm coming to you from the Netherlands, so excuse my Dutchy English. I love to knit, I love to crochet, and I love to talk, so that's the perfect combination for making this podcast. I make my episodes in Dutch and in English. You can watch them both, they are not similar. I add subtitles, and if you miss a subtitle in a specific language, please let me know and I will check if I can add them afterwards. Okay, I have a lot to share today, a lot of heart-jumping things. Let me start with explaining that once again. A lot of people are asking me in the comments, what do you mean with heart-jumping? And I think it does sound a little bit weird when you don't know the context, but in Dutch a way of saying is mijn hart maakt een sprongetje, which means my heart is jumping when you are doing something very fun or something is making you very happy. So I translate it into a heart jumping thing. I think creating things, which I mainly do by knitting and crocheting them, is absolutely a heart-jumping activity for me to do, and my heart is jumping quite often when I am making something during the process, also when I finished something. So yeah, a lot of heart-jumping moments in my creative life, and that's why I decided to use that word in English as well, although I didn't really know if it was a way of saying in English. So yeah, heart-jumping things. I'm pretty sure you all know how it feels when your heart is jumping, when you are very happy about something you are creating or about something you have created. Yeah, so I have a finished object, which I'm wearing for the very first time. I finished the knitting part yesterday on Sunday, and this morning, then I blocked it, and this morning it was still a little bit wet. Do you call that damped? But I added buttons anyway, and I put it on because when you are wearing something the drying process will be a little bit quicker. So I think it is dry right now. It wasn't this morning. I will tell you all about it. It is the Vlogfest. So let me put the camera a little bit this way. It is the Vlogfest by Andrea Mowry. Maybe, I don't know if it's her most recent pattern or if there was a new one last week, but it's a pretty new pattern, and the moment I saw it I knew I need this. I need this in my life. I'm really into the sleeveless vests. I think it's the perfect layer piece in your wardrobe, and I really love layering my woolly garments. Wearing a cardigan over it, or in this time of the year wear it without a cardigan. When I was doing my hike this morning it was pretty cold, so I was wearing a cardigan. It's pretty cold for the time of the year in the Netherlands, but I think we will have summer weather end of the week, so I enjoy it today, wearing it today. Yeah, it's the perfect item. I really love it. And the stripes, there's something about stripes which is really attracting me. I am not really a stripey wearer. I don't know if that's how you say it, but it's not that I really love wearing stripes, but I love knitting stripes and I love combining the colors in stripes. So the moment I saw Andrea's vest, and also all her testers' vests. I loved every piece. And I thought this is such a wonderful pattern to combine different colors, using up some little bits of yarn you have in your stash, and make a very classical but still, yeah, very nice vest. I really loved it. I was not very adventurous with the colors. I immediately knew which yarn I wanted to use. This is actually not a color I have used, but it's the yarn from Studio Solas. That's a Dutch natural dyer. And I bought this yarn in the beginning of the year. It was her winter collection. This was the color Winter Skies, I guess. I'm not a grey person, but I really love the grey winter sky. So I think I will make this into a headband. And I had 3 other colors of this yarn. It's in my project bag. The colors did have names, but they are not on the labels and I cannot remember. I'm pretty sure those 2 were not dyed by Studio Solas, the undyed colors, and this one is, maybe it was called Warm Brown. This was my main color and I used 3 skeins of 50 gram, and I have a 4th one. It is in the camper van, so I don't have it with me here. I have a 4th one and I was really excited when I noticed I didn't have to break that skein, wind up that skein. I don't like winding up skeins, and yesterday evening I wanted to finish this vest, so I was really happy I could make it with only 3. This was my 2nd color, the brown, and I think it's really, it's really a lovely detail of brown. You hardly see it, but it is there. And then a white stripe in the middle. I really love this way of knitting stripes. It are not flat stripes because of the 3 colors. It adds a little bit of extra, I guess. This yarn is labeled as an Icelandic DK weight, but it's actually the same yardage as my Let Lopi yarns, which is also an Icelandic yarn, and that's labeled as a worsted weight. So I was not sure how it would knit up. And the yarn which was used for the flock vest was a worsted weight, but with a 22 stitch gauge on 4 inch, I guess, 10 centimeters. I never get 22 stitches with a worsted weight. I always 16, 17, so I was not sure how I would do that, but I tried. And I had to start over 1 time. I'm sorry, I need to... I think the camera is good, so I needed to start over 1 time, and I knitted this vest on 3.25mm needles. That's quite a small needle for a worsted weight yarn, but I love the fabric anyway. I'm a loose knitter. The original pattern is knitted on 4.5mm needles. I always need to go down 1 needle size, and now even more. But I love the fabric, and although I didn't get gauge still, I decided I didn't want to knit on 3mm needles, so I started with size 3. I think that was the best size according to the pattern's measurements, but halfway I switched to size 2, and that was not really a problem because the numbers for size 2 and size 3 are pretty similar. I think it was by connecting the pieces together. I think that was the point that I switched to size 3, or maybe I skipped an increase. I'm not pretty sure, but it was quite easy to do, and I'm happy I did that once, because still I have quite some positive ease. I have my measurements. I made a page in my project book, in my knitting book. Let me start with the yarn. The main color I used 150 gram minus this little piece, but I didn't weigh, so 3 skeins of 50 grams. The second color, the brown, I was wondering if I would need to play yarn chicken with it when I read the recommended yardage in the pattern. That was mainly the reason why I switched to size 2 and I made a cropped version, although the cropped version is the perfect length for me. I needed 37 grams in the end, so it was not exciting at all. I remember, it was the main reason why I carried the yarn, and I didn't cut the yarn and weave in the yarn ends, but carrying the yarn saves a little bit of yarn. So I don't like carrying yarn, especially not when it's very rustic yarn. It's all tangled together, stick together. I am too clumsy to knit with 3 yarn balls attached to my work, so normally I cut them and I choose the weave in yarn ends option. In the end it was okay, but especially the front pieces, oh, very small pieces, so very many times switching with all the yarn ends. Yeah, it was not relaxing. But when I was at the point it was all one piece, it was okay. So, and I think it was not really needed. Now I know how much yarn I have left. The other color I only needed 15 grams, and it's very important for me to write that down. It's always in the pattern, but knowing what you really knitted up is can be very helpful when you will knit another one with different yarn, which I definitely will. I think that always, but with this one I think I will. I really want to make a summer version. This is really rustic yarn, so I don't want to wear this in summer, but a linen version or something, or a merino one, would be really nice. And it's perfect for your tiny leftover yarns, the 1 stripes. You don't need much yarn for it. So I'm sorry, I really love knitting it. My final measurements are 98 centimeters, my bust circumference, and I think, I'm saying this by head, size 3 would have been 96 centimeters. So it's a little bit more. I think I'm okay with it. I love the look of it. I am getting used to picking bigger sizes. I used to knit quite fitted, which I loved by then, but now I think this is better. The only thing is that there is happening something here, and I don't know if it has to do with the buttons. There's a little bit of a fold in my fabric. I don't know if you can see it, especially on the left side. Something is happening, and I did replace the upper button, but I think my stripes are lining up. Yeah, maybe this one. My stripes are lining up okay, so I don't really know what is happening there and if I can fix it. So yeah, sometimes you need to wear a garment for a while before you know. I'm sorry, I think there is some yarn in my throat. I don't know. I don't need to cough at all. Maybe. Okay, let's try again. It really felt as if there was a little piece of yarn in my throat. And that's actually not weird. This is really, I don't know if you can see it. This yarn has quite some long hairs every now and then. And I think that's typical for Icelandic sheep. They live on an island with quite rough weather, so yeah, I think their wool is really protecting them against a lot of cold and a lot of rain, and the long hairs are typical. I don't know enough about yarn to really tell something about it, but the long hairs are, there is a little bit of fuss. No, it's not really fuss. That's also with Letlopi, that's why I love it so much, and maybe it's even more with this one. There is a little layer, a hairy layer over it, which I really like, but I don't want to have it in my throat. Very annoying, especially when you are talking in front of a camera. So the buttons, I dived into my button stash this morning. I have this little basket which I found in the thrift store, filled with all the buttons and some other stuff. And yeah, it's always nice to find matching buttons. And I was very happy when I found exactly 3 matching buttons. I had more, which suited very well on this vest. But then, yeah, they come in pairs of 5 or 6 for a whole cardigan. And I didn't want to break that amount of buttons. So finding 3 in a little bit of pinky color really was a heart jumping moment. I don't know if I bought them. There was a little price tag on one of them, 35 euro cents. I have no idea. I cannot remember. When I am in a thrift store, I always search for buttons. Yeah, I actually don't know. I cannot remember if I used them for another garment. No, doesn't matter. I'm happy with those buttons. Yeah. I was with sharing my notes with you. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit all over the place. My gauge was not matching. The pattern's gauge was 21 stitches, 28 rows. My gauge was 18 stitches, 27 rows. So yeah, it was okay. It's a little bit wider as it was meant to be, but I'm okay with that. The length, the complete length of the garment is 55 centimeter, and this lower part is 23 and the upper part is 22 centimeter. 214 grams in total of yarn, and I think that's all I wanted to share. Hello, Editing Sarah over here. There was something else I forgot to share, and that was a little detail in the ribbing. Maybe you have noticed I skipped the stripes in the ribbing, the bottom ribbing. The original pattern has also those tiny stripes in the bottom ribbing, and it was my plan to do that as well. But when I started the first round in brown in the ribbing, I was a little bit afraid it would look too messy. When you are knitting in stockinette stitch and you change colors, nothing really happens, besides the color, which is changing obviously. But when you are knitting in a rib stitch and you change color, you get those little very visible color changes in the purl bumps, which I don't like. Normally I avoid those purl bumps by just knitting all the stitches for one round or one row and then go back to the rib stitch. But because you have 3 color changes in a row, that was not really possible, so I decided to skip the stripe in the ribbing. It was interesting because one day later, I met my mom and she was wearing a new cardigan, a completely different pattern, but also a stripy cardigan. And she added a stripe in the ribbing, and also in the neckline ribbing she added stripes. The yarn was a little bit thinner, but the purl bumps were not as visible as I thought they would be. So we were talking about that, and my mom told me she expected the same as I was expecting, but it was only the change from stockinette to the ribbing stitch where it was annoying. So she did the knit one round all the stitches thing, but in the ribbing it was perfectly fine. I didn't want to go back, but I did regret that I didn't try the stripe in the ribbing and then decide how I was feeling about the look. So next time I will definitely add the stripe to the bottom ribbing. I love this look also, but it was a little bit more of a playful touch. There was something else I didn't do, that was the tubular bind off. I am not a big fan of the tubular bind off. I actually love doing it, but yeah, although it is a nice and neat finishing, I think it's quite often a little bit tight, and I love the other way. I was doubting about it because I love the look of it, but I don't think this yarn was very suitable for it. It would break by going through the stitches so many times. Also, I think with this rustic yarn, with all the hairs and the fuzz over it, a tubular bind off is not really visible. When you have a really round woolly thread or a plant fiber yarn, I think it will give it a nice and neat finishing touch. So I skipped those 2 designer elements, which I think they add a little bit of extra to the vest. So my vest is a little bit more basic, and I will definitely try them another time, but I am very happy I didn't do that with this yarn. It's raining. It started raining and we are quite close under the roof. We sleep on the attic of our house, and there's a flat roof above us. So yeah, I'm sorry for the noise, but it is cozy knitting weather. So yeah, I really love the deep V-shaped neckline, and yeah, I love the fit. I am so happy with this garment. So yeah, I definitely can recommend this pattern. I really love the patterns from Andrea Mowry. She is a very, in my opinion, very well pattern designer, knitting designer. She writes the patterns so detailed, and there are a lot of links to tutorials, and there was a scheme, a schedule for all the sizes and the increases. And when I looked at it for the first time, I thought, huh? But when you are sitting and knitting and taking it step by step, it's actually very easy and very helpful. So absolutely recommend this pattern. I would love to make one again. A summer garment which you can wear. Oh, that's what I want to say. The V is a little bit lower than my other V-shaped necklines, and also the armholes are a little bit lower, but that's actually quite nice. And also when you are making it into a summer garment and you don't wear anything under it, so you wear it as a sleeveless top, it's still nice and airy. And yeah, so I have some Drops Bell and some Sandnes Line in my yarn stash, in my summer yarn stash, and I really can see me wearing one on a hot summer day. So who knows, who knows. At the moment I am really enjoying making those little daily video diaries. It's a kind of journaling. I share them on Instagram, and I thought it might be nice to add them to this video as well. It are little snippets of my daily creative life. I think it's important to say that I only share a part of my life, a big part of my life, but I don't share everything, so don't be fooled. I have a very good life, but the most important people in my life are not visible in those tiny little videos. So it's mainly, although this is my mom, she is important as well, and this is my sister. So little snippets of them and their creative life. So it's more a little bit of a daily journal of my creative life, my knitting and crochet life most of the time, and a little bit of hiking. I have some other finished objects. I finished 2 pair of socks. I'm in my stripey era. I discovered the stripey sock yarn, and it is really addictive. Let me start with these 2, because this one was my first pair, finished pair. This is the Spellbook colorway. It is a collaboration between Chiara from Alchemy Knits and Nicole Méndez. Chiara is a Dutch knitter and Nicole is a German yarn dyer, and I think she's also a knitter. Chiara makes together with her husband those sock blockers with a 3-dimensional printer, and a few weeks ago I visited Chiara and her husband. Maybe I already told about it, probably I did. And they showed me how they make their sock blockers and all the things. And Chiara has a nice collaboration with Nicole because she designs cozy knitting weather. I hope it's not too annoying. She designs the colorway and Nicole dyes the colorway. So it's a collaboration between Alchemy Knits and Nicole Méndez, and this is the colorway Spellbook. These socks are for my daughter, our 19-year-old daughter, and she immediately fell in love with this colorway, and I knitted her socks. I added a little brown heel. She has size 38. I always do, this one is knitted cuff down, casting on 56 stitches on 2mm needles, 15 rounds of knit 2 prill 2, 60 rounds knitting all the stitches, then a heel flip and gusset. Again, knit 60 rounds and then decrease for the toe every other round. And I always decrease until I have 16 stitches. I don't love the toe to be too narrow, and then close the toe with the Kitchener stitch. So this was my first pair. I really love them. And then the second pair, this is all gifted to me. The sock blockers, the yarn, everything which I show is gifted. So I'm very grateful for that. This is a pair of socks for my husband, which I do regret a little bit that I didn't knit them for myself. This is the color Coffee Break, dyed by Nicole Méndez. I haven't blocked them yet, but also sock blockers from Alchemy Knits, and they are very light. They are plastic. You can order them in a lot of colorways, I love it. I also have wooden ones, which I really love, but this is so nice because they dry very quick. You don't need to block your socks, but the look of the socks improve a lot when you are blocking them, and that's especially nice when you are making a picture or giving them as a present to someone, but it's not really necessary for wearing them on your feet. Maybe when you are knitting cables or lace, but I just love them. Yeah, this way. The color Coffee Break, and I knitted the same construction for my husband. The only thing is this is size 44. I knitted 70 rounds for the leg and also 17 rounds for the foot. So yeah, lovely socks. And I have more self-striping sock yarn. These are my leftovers. I have no plans for those yet. I can make a pair of tiny baby socks, or maybe I can combine them for more colorful self-striping socks. I don't know. I will save them together. Chiara has a new, two new colorways, and this was a gift from Chiara, and I'm very grateful. It was a thank you gift because I made a video when I visited them, and a lot of people ordered yarn and sock blockers, and she wanted to thank me. She also already thanked me with chocolate and flowers, but this was again, and it is absolutely out of my color comfort zone. But I really love the idea of knitting with bright colors. I prefer wearing muted colors most of the time, but I love working with colors. It's making me very happy, and those colorways immediately catch the eye of my husband. And again, my oldest daughter, my husband asked me, oh, can I have a pair of socks in this colorway, which is called I cannot pronounce it, herbology. Oh, I'm sorry for that. And my daughter, she loves purple, obviously. She was really doubting between those, but the color Alchemy and also the colorway Elixir. But I think she has chosen this one, and she asked me, will you knit me another pair of socks? And I told her, nah, I just finished a pair of socks. You have a lot of hand knitted socks. You need to be patient. And then she asked me, can I knit them myself? And I thought, of course you can knit them yourself. It was a heart jumping moment again. So now she asked me to cast them on, and I will knit the ribbing and the heel and the toes. And she can knit, but she has never knitted socks before. She will finish the socks herself. So that will be a nice collaboration as well. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. I will cast them on tomorrow. I guess she asked me all the time, do you have time right now? But I wanted to finish this one. So yeah, lovely colors, and knitting self-striping socks is really satisfying. I also applied for a test knit. Ronja from Ronja Hakalehno. I'm sorry, I don't know how to pronounce her back name. It's Finnish, a Finnish knitting designer. She did a call for a test knit on her Instagram. It was a lovely summer top, the Wildflower top it was called, lace and cables. And recently I crocheted a vest for a friend, and it was a while since I have tested any patterns, and I thought I was okay with testing. I loved test knitting patterns a few years ago, but now I was really feeling the testing energy, so I thought, okay, let me join. I love the energy, the deadline. I really love the idea of testing knitting patterns. So I applied, and I even swatched. I am not a swatcher, but when you test a pattern, you want to do it as good as possible. So I swatched with this color of Drops Bell, which I had in stash. And yeah, I loved it. It was actually a little bit of a heathered color, which I didn't expect. It is the color 25. So I can start knitting it. I'm really looking forward to that. I love knitting lace and cables. It's such a fun process to knit, and I think this will be a lovely summer top. It has a higher neckline than I prefer, but I must confess this part of my skin already catches so much sun in my life that it might be okay to cover it with an extra nice lacy cabled layer. So we shall see. I'm really looking forward to cast on this project. And then last but not least, this little sweater. It was actually my plan to frog it. This is the flex sweater, the worsted weight, a free pattern by Tin Can Knits. I am knitting away some old yarn stash. It is Long Yarns Merino Dégradé. It was gifted to me. Oh, did it focus? It was gifted to me by Long Yarns a few years ago, and it is a merino yarn with a color change, but I didn't really love the way the colors were changing. But holding it together gives it a little bit of a mold effect, and I really love it this way. So I knitted this sweater, but I was struggling with the neckline. I started with a double folded neckline, but it looked weird. Then I knitted a single rib, but it was still not looking the way I wanted to be. And then I decided, okay, let me frog this project. It was also a little bit small. It didn't look small on my niece. Did I tell it was for my little niece? She is 5 years old right now, and this is a size 4 to 6 years, and it looks so small. And I actually wanted to make a big oversized merino sweater, which will be very useful for cold summer nights and mornings when they are camping. So it was my plan to frog it, and then I thought, let me do an I-cord neckline. So it will be a little bit wider, a little bit more open, and let me finish the sweater anyway. So I'm really enjoying it. It was my plan to do a fit session last Friday on my niece, but I forgot to bring it with me. So I think I will just finish the sleeves, and I will finish the sweater, and maybe she can only wear it for one summer, and then we will save it for another child in our family. Who knows? Yeah. But I really love the look, and I really love the feeling. And it's also very nice to knit some stash away. Okay. Last weekend I visited a new to me yarn event in the Netherlands, in the northern part of the Netherlands, in Friesland. The event was called Joure Onder De Wol, and it is an open air event. I went together with my husband, which also was the first time that we visited a yarn event together. We had a great day, met so many lovely people. It was actually my plan to not buy yarn, because I already have such a big yarn stash, but to make a video instead. But in the end I ended with a bag filled with a lot of yarn and not much footage on my camera roll. But it was a HeartJumping day anyway. especially because of the people and also because of the lovely yarn I brought with me. And I had some nice interviews which you can see in the Dutch episode if you are interested. The event was organized by the owner of the local yarn shop in Joure, which is called Azure Breiboutique, and it's absolutely worth visiting it when you are visiting the Netherlands, because it was such a lovely shop filled with all the beautiful yarn. So definitely recommend Joure and the shop and the event. Okay, this was it for today. I wish you a wonderful week filled with a lot of heart-jumping moments. If you can't find them, create them because we need them. Thank you for watching, thank you for being here, and I hope to see you next time. Bye bye!